Hey guys, welcome back to the Workplace Apprenticeship 20 video lessons. The lesson that we're going to be doing today is lesson 1.1 from your first chapter, which is talking about rise over run, which is a type of equation or formula that we know for slope. This here is example number 4 from your notes. And once again, this is another word problem, and I'm going to be doing that same technique that I showed you in the first video. So if you don't know what technique I'm talking about, then I will go through it again in this video, or go ahead and watch it in the previous video. So, Zane is designing a small water slide for children to play on. If the slide has a run of 120 inches and a height of 56 inches, what is the slope of the slide? So for following along with the steps, we were first supposed to read the word problem, which we just did. Awesome. Now what we need to do is we have to ask ourselves, well, what is this question asking us to do? Well, if we look at that last little bit of our word problem, it is asking, what is the slope of the slide? Now that we know what we're looking for, what type of information we're going to be looking for, now we can go back and cross off some of the unimportant sentences and underline anything that's really important. So let's go back and reread that first sentence. So Zane is designing a small water slide for children to play on. So while that sentence there is nice for telling us the situation, it actually doesn't tell us anything about any kind of measurements or units or anything that would be important for finding the slope. So next sentence says, if the slide has a run of 120 inches and a height of 56 inches, what is the slope of the slide? And that right there, it not only tells us what is being asked, it also tells us that the slide has a run of 120 inches and then a height of 56 inches. Now that information is very important because of the equation that we know for slope. So if you guys remember your slope equation, slope is equal to rise over run. So it's rise divided by your run. So in this question here, we're told our run is 120 and our height, which is also our rise, is 56. So let's go ahead and plug that into our equation. And if you guys also remember, we can abbreviate our slope to the letter m. So we have m is equal to, our rise was our height, which was 56, and our run was 120. So our next step is to actually, we can either divide 56 by 120, or we can leave it as a reduced fraction. I actually prefer to use the decimal form. But if you guys are all for fractions, go ahead and do that. I know that there are advantages to using fractions because they are not rounded values, but I honestly prefer to do decimals. And whenever I use decimals, I typically like to go to 2 decimals, unless if the question says otherwise. So maybe we can first go over, well, how do we do a reduced fraction? So you just want to look for a number that's in common with both 56 and 120. If you guys want to, go ahead and pause this video. If you guys want to sit down, have time to think about this. If not, I'm going to give you the answer here in 1 second. So the number that's in common with 56 and 120 is 8. You always want to try and reduce it by the highest number that can go into both 56 and 120. And in that case, it was 8. If you guys automatically went for 2 or 4, that's fine. You just have to reduce it again afterwards. So when you reduce the top and the bottom by 8, you would find that your fraction is 7 over 15. Or if you want to just put into your calculator, divide the two numbers, and you would have the answer of 0.47. So this here is a word problem, which means that we're not actually done just yet. So the final step that we have to do to fully complete an answer is to write a sentence. So just like what we talked about last video, if you're not quite sure about how to write your sentence, just go back to the question that was being asked. They wanted to know, what is the slope of the slide? So turn that question into a statement. So you could say, the slope of the slide is 0.47. You guys can also use 7 over 15. As long as I didn't state it, I honestly don't care if it's fraction or decimal, but typically if I'm a little bit picky, I will state it in the question or on the top of your assignments or tests. And with that, we're all done that question, so we're all done. Thanks for watching, guys.